Hi, and the issue I've got here is that my Disco 3, none of the buttons along this side of the steering wheel work, and the buttons on this side. The cruise control works occasionally, but then you start fiddling with these and the whole thing gets a bit flaky, and I've never yet gotten the voice activate to work. So I'm going to take a look at this and see if we can't fix it. So this is me testing out the clock spring, which I'm guessing is responsible for some electrical failures and switches on the steering wheel. I'll put a link to the guide I followed to disassemble the whole thing, but I've not taken the clock spring out, I'm just checking the circuits. I'm using these things that I picked up from Matlins in the electronics section, and they're a couple of quid. And the beauty of them is, it lets me plug one in to the socket. So there you can see the pin I put, the wire that I put over one of the pins on the connection I'm testing. The other end of the connection is here. And what this lets me do is take a multimeter, continuity tester. I'm going to take the wire that I've plugged in and I'm just going to run it along the other end of the connector, along the cables until, there we go. So we know that wire is patent. So I'm now going to move on to the next pin. If I just show you, there we go. And we will run along again. So now the first two are patent. Okay. Run along to the third pin. And 8 intact. So hopefully this tells me that the clock spring is actually functional, so I need to look elsewhere for the electrical shorts. So this is the wiring loom from the steering wheel, and if you have a look, the blue wire here is fractured. And that's the second wire in the connector, which plugs into the clock spring. And looking at the wiring diagram, and I'll try and post a link for this as well. Second wire is there, and that deals with all the issue module that deals with the mode buttons, sound, etc. So I'm hoping that this is the cause of my fault, so I'm going to repair it and we'll see. So I found this old computer, old ATX style motherboard switch unit, from which I have harvested one of the cables. I've popped it out of its connection and I've cut it back, and I have spliced the end into the broken cable we've got, and that's the end out of the computer case. Reason being, what was left over, not really long enough to make a neat repair. So hopefully this will then plug just back into this. I'm going to put a little bit of masking electrical tape around the connection at the base there so it doesn't put stress on the joint. Then I'm going to slide some heat shrink over the top, and hopefully we'll see how it works. So that's the cable patched back together, and I've wrapped some insulating tape along the length of it. Now just remains to check continuity. So I've got my Maplin's connectors in either and bingo, we have a connection. So all that remains is to put this in back into the car, reassemble the steering wheel first, put this back into the car, reconnect the airbag, connect the battery back up, and get the kitchen tidied up before my wife gets home. Now, this is the pin I was talking about on the clock spring connection. If you see, there is a definite wiggle in there. If you look at this edge, I'll try and lift that cable out the way. You can see that as well. I'm thinking to myself, it's that movement that's allowed the cable to. So, any parents among you will be familiar with this. This is a dosing syringe from children's medicines such as Calpol and Junifen. And what I'm going to do is use the barrel and the plunger to help reduce the play in the steering wheel on the coil spring, so hopefully cutting down movement in the wiring loom as it plugs into it and cut down the chance of further fractures. So I'm going to cut it off about here and about here. Look at the steering wheel, and this is the socket that that pin goes into, but the Nurofen syringe is just a little bit too fat. But if you have a look at the weight side, it fits in quite nicely up until about there. Okay, so it fits in about that much quite nicely. So in an attempt to get this to fit, I'm going to cut it along its length so it can be compressed. So using a pair of scissors, I've just cut a section out, and that will allow me to squeeze it in and hopefully be able to lock it in down beside the pin. So I've just cut about 1.5 centimeters off the bottom of the plunger, and I'm going to see about socketing that into the barrel that's already in the wheel to see if it just can't lock that pin in a bit better. Okay, so we'll try this again and just see how it goes. Socketed all the way home. Yeah, and that is a lot better, so I think we'll keep that. The flanges will stop it from down too far. I am happy with that. And there's the barrel with the pin. Here's my adapter. I'm just going to push that in. So it locks the whole thing home. And yeah, I've got a lot less play in that now, to my mind. Anyway, let's see how it goes. I'll put the airbag back in, then we're all done. We're finished. The airbag's back in. It's quite a bit darker. Let's have a look and see what we've got then. Now, I haven't tried this at all, so moment of truth. Let's see, everything's coming on to that in there. Right, so now none of these were working before, so let's have a look for that. Ooh. Listening. Cool.
Sorry.
Even better. Right, let's try the volume control and things. So,
Sorry.
Let's cancel that. Put the radio on. Now, it's been out for a while because I've been battery's been disconnected for the the airbag, so let's try that. Oh, it's working. I have no idea what that is, but hey, it seems to be working. And the volume controls are working as well. Fantastic. We've got no CDs in. I don't actually know where the CD player is, but the mode button's working. Don't think we can do anything with that at the moment because the engine's not on, but I'll check that. And oh yes, the horn works. And the horn works, even better. So let's have a look now. One of the big things that this did for me was the system settings wouldn't work. So let me cycle round and see where we get. So let's have a look, and hopefully now, yes, those now all work beautifully. Job done. You can see that as well. I'm thinking to myself, it's that movement that's allowed the cable to erode. So I'm going to take my cowpole plug, push it in there, and with the eye of faith, it makes not a blind bit of difference. So back to the drawing board with that one, but no harm lost so